We're ready to move on to a brand new exam paper now for GCSE Geography, and it's paper 3, which is our fieldwork paper. Now, the fieldwork paper, as the name suggests, would normally require us to go to this river. This is the Colin River near Belfast, and to conduct some fieldwork there. Now, that's not going to be possible at the moment, so we will have a virtual tour around the river for you and virtual field trip to take place. But what I want to do in this video is to give you a bit of an overview of what this topic is all about. There'll be lots of detail for you to learn as we go through this, but this is all about the big picture. And I'm going to start with something that hopefully you are familiar with and that'll help you to navigate your way through this new topic. And this is something that you would do in science anytime that you're conducting an experiment. This is the whole kind of scientific method that you would follow through. In this, you would start off with a prediction, what you think is going to happen. Then you'll come up with your method, how to actually conduct it, what apparatus you'll use. You'll collect some results and present them in a graph. You'll analyse them. You'll draw out some patterns from what you see there, draw conclusions and evaluate. So we're going to start with that, hopefully because you know that already. I have some familiarity with it because there's a good overlap between that and what we call the geographical process of inquiry, which we're going to be following through here. But first of all, let's remind you of a science experiment that I'm hoping that you've all done, and that is the awful crime of burning the crisp. Oh, it just pains me to look at that. I would much rather be eating it. But then again, I haven't done this experiment, so maybe you really enjoyed setting fire to things and burning the thing and finding out what you needed to do from this experiment. But if you did this experiment, this is something similar to what you would have done as you've gone through the whole process here. You would have started off by coming up with some kind of prediction of what you think is going to happen based on the theory that you know. And that prediction then would have allowed you to go on and conduct the experiment, which brings you to this method. Here's the method here, the apparatus. You'll need to know the apparatus. Of course, you'll need to be able to list those, but then you'll also need to be able to go through the method, do this, then this, then this, then this, step by step by step. You'll discover in a moment there's a big overlap between that and what we do in geography. Then you'll move on to the data collection and presentation. So as you conduct the experiment, you will collect your data and then you'll present it by drawing a graph. Similarly, in geography, we're going to do that. Then you analyze it. You'll answer some questions on it. Yeah, I don't know if those are questions in there, maybe some of those. And then you'll go on to your conclusions and your evaluations. Now, your evaluations are looking at the strengths and the weaknesses, what are the good things and what are the things that need to improve. So how might you improve the reliability of your results and things like that. So hopefully that is something that you have come across before and that is something that you recognize, because the geography process that we go through has a lot of similarities. The science one starts with prediction. The geography one starts with planning. So we'll be looking at things like where do we go to conduct our fieldwork, and how do we choose our sites and things like that. Then, instead of being stuck in a classroom setting fire to crisps, normally geographers love to go out into the real world. Here we are standing beside the river. I wish we could go there, but this is as close as we can get at the moment, where we would actually go out, put the wellies on and collect our data. Once we've collected the data, the next thing to do, very similar to your science process, is to draw the graph. You'll present that data. And then once you've drawn the graph, that will allow you to analyse and interpret it, which are just fancy words for basically saying what does the graph show and why is it showing that. The kinds of things that you're used to doing a lot within geography. And then we wrap it up by drawing some conclusions and an evaluation looking at the strengths and the weaknesses. Now, this is our overview of what we're going to be doing in the geography process. As I go through each of the little sections with you, we'll be adding more detail on. These are the bits from the spec that we need to be covering, and each one of these is detail that you'll need to be able to expand upon. We're not going into those now, I'm just letting you see that overview, because what I want you to have clear in your mind is this knowledge schema from planning to collection to presentation, analysis, interpretation, conclusions and evaluation. This is the geographical process of inquiry. And it is similar to what you already know from the science process of conducting experiments. So as we go through the geographical process of inquiry, make the link back to your science. There are some things that are very, very similar. There are some things that are slightly different. But this structure that you should be familiar with hopefully will help you to remember this structure, which is new to you. Now, why are we focusing on this? Well, partly because they actually like to ask questions in the exam that take you through that step by step to leave stages out. This is a very popular question type. So what are the stages that are missing? If you know your knowledge schema well, you can fill that in really, really easily. But also the whole exam paper itself is based on this process. The questions proceed through, and we'll look at these in turn. Before you can write about your graph, you have to draw it. So you will be getting very used to this on the way through. This will help us navigate our way through the detail and the content that you need to pick up from here. But I don't want you to get lost in all of this detail. All the way through, I want you to keep being able to come back to this. Plan it, collect it, present it, write about it, draw your conclusions. How good was it? And that is the process we're going to be going through as we do our fieldwork for paper 3.